Roadworks by Simon Jones. Bollocks, said Trog. Sorry, said Kevin. Mr. Roberts sighed. Come on, lad. One more go and then we'll give it a rest. Blue is water, yellow is gas, black is telephone. No, black is electricity. All the others are telecommunications. Mr. Roberts looked at him expectantly. Trog was about to swear again. The pressure was on. Apart from red. Yes, red is high voltage. Sorry. It's important, lads. You've got to know which one's for the alignment. The two older men sat in the shade of their striped tent, surrounded with green plastic railings like a Wendy house. Most people walking past glanced in, until Trog glared back out at them. Kevin stood in the afternoon sun, bored and boiling. This was everything he expected from work experience. A seismic interruption taking him from his plans, his guitar, his friends, and dumping him here, far too visible and in a stupid jacket. He hated his gawky skinniness on show and reflected back at him in every passing car window. This was supposed to be good for him, how? Since he started on Monday, Kevin had helped fence off a section of the road and watched Trog dig a big hole. It blocked half the street, so Kevin had to operate a stop-and-go signal whilst trying to report the colour coding for the utility pipes. This generated a lot of impatience in Neil, his counterpart at the other end of the mini contrapro and the senior sign rotator. He scowled all the time and signalled for them to synchronise their lollipops with over-emphatic hand movements, as though he was beating away an invisible shark. Kevin assumed Neil had got the colours right a while ago, as Mr. Roberts never tested him. But Mr. Roberts seemed very drawn to the codes of the utility pipes. Now he was sat in the tent with his chart on his knee. Kevin summoned up his courage and peered in. Mr. Roberts, what exactly have we dug this hole for? And what's alignment? The older man looked around conspiratorially. He said, alignment is all important. It's the lines. They need resetting after the cable they put in for the telly. The whole street was done, see? And they ran it right along here. What was that when they cut all the tree roots? They did more than that, lad. They damaged the ley lines. Channels of natural power. Bugger them about and it all starts going wrong. What we do is keep them aligned. And I'm telling you now, it's not an easy job. Gray, quick. Gray, telecommunications, returned Kevin. What do these leys run along the main roads then? More a case of the main roads right along and following them, said Mr. Roberts. The line's where you first, you see, and they connect important places. What used to happen was that the leys go straight, and when they hit water, like a stream or something, or another line, that's an important place, somewhere where it feels right to congregate. That was fine for thousands of years, until they started putting gas and electricity along the roads. They knacker the force, special electricity. And now we've got telephones and broadband. Bastards, said Trog. The problem with broadband, you see, is it does exactly the opposite. On the one hand, you've got leys trying to funnel all the natural energy in one direction, and then you've got broadband talking to everybody at once all over the world. Well, it's useful, I suppose, but it's a cluster. It's not a line. Stands to reason the two shapes aren't going to get on very well. But who cares about them anymore? Asked Kevin, fearful he might be being set up again. He'd already been sent to the shops to get Mr. Roberts and Trog a bag of 2 whole doughnuts and some strawberry crisps. He wished he could be smart and know cool stuff. In truth, they, along with pretty much everything else in the world, frightened him. A waiting car revved ominously. Kevin looked, caught Neil's frantic wave and turned his side around. Traffic was blasting out heat. The sun bounced off everything. He felt sticky and dirty under his luminous jacket. And he knew the girls. would be walking past the school any minute now. He wished, really wished, he could stop perspiring, or at least use it to wash the spots away. No one, replied Mr. Roberts. No one cares. Council keeps quiet about them because they come out of the town council tax. We come under environment and planning, so no one has to explain and they look like a bunch of hippies. But they need us. Look at this road. It's a lane, so it's supposed to be a straight line of power and harmony. So what's it got on it? Traffic lights, pelican crossings, speed cameras, roundabouts, they all stop the flow. And everyone feels it. How many people have you seen shouting at each other when they're driving along here? Why do they speed up when they've only got 10 yards of space ahead? Why don't they let people overtake? It's not just when it's hot, they feel the power, but they don't understand the size and significance of it. They only know they need to follow it. So, what do we do? Whatever it is doesn't stop all that happening. And what's the point of keeping these lines? Containment. That's all. We keep it manageable. And as for that, the point, well, you'll just have to wait and see. Mr. Roberts and Trog exchanged sly glances, and Kevin felt lonely again. What were they going to do to him? He didn't like it when Mr. Roberts sided with Trog. He needed the older man to be the boss, keeping all this adultness under control and not buddying up to a huge man with a shovel. To pile on the misery, he heard approaching giggles and really needed to hide in the tent. He felt the anguish redoubling. Mr. Roberts was his guardian and guide in so much of this job, but to ask him for protection from a bunch of schoolgirls would be unthinkable. He just needed an excuse. Would it work? Can I come in and look at your map? Bollocks! You'll get your break at 4, said Mr. Roberts. Kevin turned the stop and go sign. Kevin fixing his eyes on Neil's outstretched arm, sure he was being taken for a ride by the other two, and simmering with resentment. Ah, he's all hot and sweaty! They were here, and Kevin's 17 years on the planet had left him completely unprepared for this situation. He tried to look at them, but he was physically impossible. His face felt hotter than the bullying sun, and the frustration was bringing tears to his eyes. Where's your muscles then? Shona fancies you. Do not! Oh God, Kelly, you're such a bitch! Give us a lick of your lollipop! Oh, he's all sweet! He's gone all red, he's quite sweet actually. He turned his sign, but he was panicking and hadn't checked first. One car was still passing as another approached from the other side. Neil's arm dropped, and he was staring in disbelief, too outraged to function. So now, Kevin was stood there, with 2 motorists calling him variations on wanker, and 5 schoolgirls laughing at him. Eventually, the one who said that she thought he was quite sweet told the motorist to leave him alone. Shamed, they negotiated their way past each other, tutting and rolling their eyes. Thanks, he mumbled, and then the girls screeched with laughter again. Then they were gone, but it was hardly a victory. His heart was pounding, and the heat was making him feel sick. He hated his fear of those girls. Oh, he missed his bedroom. That cool haven where he clamped on their headphones and imagining the chords shooting out of his guitar as he stood aloof on the stage and the women with adoring faces looking up, primed and ready to love him. Trog and Roberts went over to the van and brought back a small but obviously heavy stone, which they placed carefully between a grey cable and the black electricity mains. They used to be a bit bigger, of course, said Mr. Roberts. Stone end sized. Nowadays they make these portable ones with tungsten chips. You sink them under the road to mark out the lay, but they have to be aligned. And that, Kevin, is why it's important to know the utility codes. After about 10 minutes of what looked like pointless adjustments, accompanied by much grunting and sweating, the 2 older men beckoned him over. Nervously, he stood over the stone, as directed, straddling it. He felt extremely vulnerable, but he knew he couldn't refuse. One more turn of the sign. Neil's arm and scowl were back, and then a jolt. Ran, left buoyant with delight. Trog and Roberts were smiling to each other as they climbed towards him. "That's bollocks," said Trog with a smirk. Mr. Roberts gently took the sign from Kevin's hand. Kevin barely noticed them. Or rather, he noticed them as part of the hurricane of sensations blasting through him. Suddenly he was weightless with ecstasy. The breeze could have picked him up and wafted him away. He knew everything he had heard, seen, felt or imagined was part of one great idea. That a physical light was growing in him and giving him wisdom way beyond his dreams or experience. That for 1 nanosecond, he could understand everything that there was to know. He wanted to retain each moment, but the one that came next was even better. Again and again. It was indeed a line, he saw, linking everything. The hot, impatient traffic became a string of glass beads in gorgeous colours, wondrous shapes, and he felt he was racing through them. A shaft of light refracted again and again as it passed through the windows like prism after prism. The Maltby girls were along there too, about to burst out of their giggly cocoon and emerge as beautiful young women. Maybe they would love him, and he them in the future. Neil's sign glowed like a star, which shrivelled the man's anger to a petty sulk. Mr. Roberts and Trog had picked Kevin as the one who could appreciate the power, the one who could be, he laughed, aligned. The job, Mr. Roberts and Trog, the cars, the girls, his spots, the shouting motorists and his dreams, they were all part of a huge, wonderful span. His life vaulted over the heat, the embarrassment, the worries, and he saw it was a rocket shooting over time, lighting everything with its inescapable energy. His face lifted into an unstoppable smile, and he could hear himself shout for joy, as if from a long way away. It all became too much, and his rushing body merged into all-embracing whiteness. "I knew it'd be good for the buzz," said Mr. Roberts, as he caught Kevin in his arms. "Come on, lads. You need a cup of tea and a lie down. You better work the sign for a while, Trog." "Bollocks," said Trog.